and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence,
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
and today we're talking about The Frighteners. Now, Meg, had you ever seen this movie before?
Yes, I think I saw it when I was maybe late teens, mid-teens, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in 1996, and it has like some legit people. I mean, Peter Jackson directed it. This is pre uh, Lord of the Rings, and Robert Zemeckis, fresh off of Forrest Gump, he produced it. Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh wrote this, so it's got some people involved. And this was also that height of, like we were talking about The Haunting a few weeks ago. This is like that new CGI technology that was more common, and so I feel like, I mean, wasn't Robert Zemeckis sort of into that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I was thinking about The Haunting while I was watching this because um it had like a very similar CGI style. I mean, The Haunting's a couple years later and probably had an even bigger budget, but um there is definitely a lot of CGI in this, yeah.
So this had a budget of 26 million and it made 29 million at the box office. It's 63% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's starring Michael J. Fox as a little bit of a bad boy. What did you think?
Ooh, I definitely like Michael J. Fox in a new role. Um, he gets to have like a backstory that I really like. With the fact that like his wife is, well, I like how they revealed that, how he said he had a car accident, that's why he's seeing ghosts, and then we find out later that his wife died in that accident mysteriously, and so I kind of liked that whole setup.
Yes, and I have not rewatched this movie in decades. You heard that right, decades, because like I just haven't. Like I used to have it on VHS, I think. But ever since I sold my VHS collection, I mean, there's a lot of movies I never picked up again, and this happened to be on demand, and so I rewatched it. But the other thing I had forgotten was this whole backstory. Dee Wallace again in another role that I wasn't expecting her in, because usually I feel like she's motherly. I think of her as the mother in E.T. or Cujo. Instead, we think maybe innocent, but she's actually the bad guy.
Yeah, I really like that too. I liked how the main woman, and I can't remember her name right now, she has this empathy for her, and so they make reference to Charles Starkweather, who is a real person who went and killed a bunch of people back in the 50s, I believe. And he brought along like a 15-year-old girl who was. There was a question of whether she was complicit or not, or whether a 15-year-old can be. And the same kind of thing happened where she went to prison for a while and then she got out and then she got to go live her life, even though she had been there during all these murders. And so they make reference to that. And so this is the same thing where Dee Wallace Stone plays this woman who was in the same situation. And I thought it was really cool because they make you feel empathy for her because of her mother situation. And so yeah, I thought that was really clever. And then it was really cool when she got to be the bad guy at the end.
And there's just all these nice elements with that true crime. I didn't realize it was based on a real true crime, but he's carving, well, we think he's carving the numbers into their foreheads, and then when he comes back as a ghost, Michael J. Fox can see these numbers carved on their foreheads, so he's continuing his victim count. But then in the flashback, which I love how they do it. I mean, I don't love all the CGI stuff, but I love how they are going between past and present. And in the flashback, he's seeing that she was the one carving the numbers on the foreheads. That was so creepy and amazing.
Yeah, that really was creepy and amazing. And I mean, obviously, since I love true crime, they reference some true crime people, and he's counting, and he wants to have the highest number of anyone, and Jake Busey we're talking about. Um, so I really like those elements. There are things about this movie I really liked, and then there were things about this movie I really did not like.
Oh, what didn't you like?
I I like the latter half of the movie. Like I like the climax. I like the end. I like Michael J. Fox, obviously. I like his relationship with the woman, especially like it was interesting how her husband dies and then there's that whole thing where he's talking to the husband. I mean, I so there are aspects about it I liked, but I could do without his two like ghost friends or three ghost friends, I guess. I mean, John Aston is cool, I guess, but the tone of the first hour for me is really off. Like, and it's just not my sense of humor. Like, it's a very cartoony sense of humor. So for me, it's like uneven because there are things about it I really like. I really like the Dee Wallace part. I really like the true crime aspects. I love it. Be great acting and stuff, but there's some stuff that threw me off.
No, I get that. I understand that. I like the premise that he is pretending to get rid of ghosts. So it's kind of like a combination of Ghostbusters and the movie Ghost because he can see them and talk to them and everything. But he's pretending to get rid of the ghost, but actually, he sees them and sort of a con man. He's not honest and I kind of like that. I like seeing Michael J. Fox be sort of like, oh,
Well, I think yeah, I mean like I don't know. I remember I had the hots for him in Doc Hollywood and he kind of has like a similar thing where he's like he's a good guy but he's also like doing not like a little we like him just a little slightly bit naughty, I think, right?
yeah, yeah. I think that's what I'm saying. And so I liked that and I thought, I mean, not everything again is also my exact sense of humor, but I think that husband stuff was pretty funny. How he's a total jerk. Oh my God, he's just the worst. And then he dies, and then he needs Michael J. Fox to help him. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, and just like also like from a romance perspective, like I like this idea of like he's obviously like falling for this woman, but her husband's like around like as a ghost, and so I mean that's a really funny concept and a cool concept. So yeah, that's the thing is frustrating about this movie to me because there's so many things I like about it, but then there were things where I was just like, oh, I don't like that. And then I kept thinking about how you were like, Meg, if you don't like this movie, I don't even know who you are.
Well, I mean, I put a lot of pressure on you, but it's the Dee Wallace storyline is
Yeah.
what I glommed onto a bit for you.
Yes, and of course you were right. I do really like that, and obviously it's a reference to and very much about the Charles Starkweather storyline. So I love that, but like those ghost friends, like get out of here. I didn't like that sense of humor, and Michael J. Fox is funny on his own. He doesn't need ghost friends that are like making bad jokes.
So there's the character of I can't remember if he's like an FBI agent or who he is, but it's Jeffrey Combs, who is from Reanimator, and I don't know if you've seen Jeffrey Combs in anything, but he is so extreme, and it's sort of like a role like you would see Bruce Campbell in. I feel like he's like a poor man's Bruce Campbell. And maybe that I don't know if people will come at me about that. Don't at me, but I love Jeffrey Combs, and I mean he's such a weirdo and extreme character, and he's great. I love him. He does a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stuff. He's played Edgar Allan Poe in on stage and in a film adaptation. So I feel like he's our people.
Yeah, I think that's a nice thing about horror sometimes is it's I know this sounds horrible, but it's like a place for actors who maybe aren't going to be like the leads in a soap opera or something, it gives a little bit more of a diverse opportunity to people who have like a certain look or a certain way about them. And so that's really cool. I think I've told you my story about Reanimator is that was the one horror movie when I was a kid that I was eating my McDonald's, my parents were about to go on a date, and I had started it, I'd rented it, and my mom's like, "Oh hell no." And my parents were pretty lax, but that movie started and she's just like, "No, you're not watching this." And I literally have not tried to watch it since.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see that, and it probably wasn't appropriate for whatever age you were. I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate for any age, but yeah.
I was 8.
Oh, yeah, definitely now. Did you have a babysitter?
No, my older brother, like
Oh.
my parents would like go out, they would like get us McDonald's and I would get horror movies from Blockbuster to watch. And normally I mean it was Night or Dawn of the Dead, which probably wasn't appropriate either, but that one was okay with them. But I started Reanimator and I just remember that was where my parents drew the line.
So yeah, I love Jeffrey Combs. I assume that he does cons and stuff, but I've never met him or seen him at one. So I need to get on that because I love him. I love the main female, the lead. I think she's great, and is she a doctor or something? I'm forgetting because I've watched this too long ago now. Like she has or yeah.
Yeah, she's like a I think she's a medical student or
Okay.
something. It was funny because when I saw her, I like felt this like immediate connection, and I was like, why am I feeling this? And so I looked it up on IMDb, and I was named after Meg from Little Women, and she plays Meg in Little Women, the Winona Ryder. And I was like, it's so funny how your brain like makes connections like that. I haven't seen that in forever, but it's like you just make these little connections, and then you see that face, and you're like, why do I feel this way? So it looks like she had a pretty good career.
Yeah, and I was looking, and she's not. I mean, it doesn't seem like she's active now, which is funny because she's great.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know. Sometimes like I'll go on IMDb and I'll look at people and I'll see that they haven't done anything in 10 years or something and I'll feel bad, but then I'm like maybe they just were like, "Hey, that was fun. I did that for a long time." And like maybe they're doing something they really enjoy now. I don't know.
I know. I always wonder too, is if are they choosing not to be active, or did they fall out of the spotlight and they're not getting work? And I guess that's interesting. I mean, I remember we heard about this actress a few years ago who she made a lot of money on an HBO show, and then she just bought a restaurant, and like that's what she does now because she made enough money to own a restaurant. So she's not acting anymore. And hey, whatever you want to do, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we all have this idea of like don't you want to like act until you're dead, but some people just take the money and run.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever you want to do. So, what else do you want to say about the Frighteners?
Um, I want to say that we should watch Dead Alive because I remember really enjoying that Peter Jackson horror movie. Have you seen it?
Yes.
I think we should watch that. And I really appreciate the uniqueness of this movie. And as I was watching it, I was like trying to think of other movies to compare it to. You kind of said like Ghostbusters and Ghost, and I was thinking like it has a Beetlejuice-ness to it, and some other movies. But I mean, Michael J. Fox is a North American treasure, and I would watch him in literally anything. So
It's funny. My dad is reading his second book, and in that book, I think the book came out like 10 years ago or something. Michael J. Fox references this survey that said they surveyed people to the most trusted people in America, in the United States. Number one was Tom Hanks. Number two was Oprah. Number three was Bill Cosby at the time, and number four was Michael J. Fox. So, like, of the top four people who people trust, Michael J. Fox, was right up there. But I think Bill Cosby's probably not on that list anymore.
wow, Michael J. Fox, you probably got up to number 3 now. You
Yes.
bumped Bill Cosby. That was not hard. I think that I want to say like, well, I think people can tell like genuine, sincere people, and Michael J. Fox like has been open about the fact that he has dealt with alcoholism, and obviously he's been open about his Parkinson's and everything. But at the same time, we were trusting Bill Cosby, so what do we know?
What? But Michael J. Fox, you are a treasure. There's nothing wrong with you.
And we won't. You're not synonymous with Bill Cosby.
And I mean, yeah, like if Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson ever got divorced, then maybe I wouldn't believe in love anymore because they seem pretty solid, right?
Yeah, and Michael J. Fox and his wife have been together forever, and they're just adorable. Oh,
See, these are nice, trustworthy people. Who would you say you trust though? Like who's not on that list? Who would you say is a trustworthy person in North America or South America? I mean, whatever.
yeah, wherever. Just in the world. Oh wow, I'm trying to think of an actor that I trust. If they were just like, this is the way it's gonna be, or an actress.
You know who I trust a lot? Chris Evans.
Oh, is it the maybe it's like the Captain America a little bit? Do you
But
think?
he also like he tweets about social issues all the time, so I feel like he's right there. Like I trust him.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. I'm trying to think of somebody that has just a trusting face. Wow. Um, I'm drawing a blank.
Even though she like talked back to a cop when she was drunk, I trust Reese Witherspoon.
Actually, I like her more because of that. I mean,
Yeah, really, I wouldn't trust her if she didn't. So.
yeah, I think she's trustworthy. I would trust her to like babysit my kids.
And she's got Draper James clothes. Like those are cute.
Oh, and isn't that the name of one of her kids?
Exactly.
So Reese Witherspoon will be your friend.
She's trustworthy. This has really gone off the rails, Meg. But speaking of that, I'm excited for Big Little Lies season 2. I realize some people are like, no, it should have been one season. And yeah, maybe it should have, but let's just see what they do, right? Let's not judge it before we watch it.
Well, like you were saying, like everybody's up in arms about Chucky. Maybe it'll be a disaster. I don't know. But maybe let's also not just make a decision, a split decision based on a trailer or based on like an article you read. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll when you hear our episode this summer about the new Child's Play, then we'll share our opinions. I don't know. I'm going in not feeling one way or the other about it.
And I understand like when something is like really important to you that it's like easy to just like get upset. Like I know I saw somebody get really upset about the changes they made in Pet Cemetery, which I understand, but at the same time I thought was done really well, the changes that they did. So sometimes maybe you just have to reserve your judgment until you actually see the movie. So you guys just calm down about Big Little Lies.
That's what we're trying to say. And it's coming out on my birthday.
Oh, it is. Oh, wow.
So happy birthday to me.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll have to keep HBO, I guess, longer than Game of Thrones then.
Yes. There's so few episodes of Game of Thrones this season. There's only like 6 episodes or something.
Yeah, there's 6 episodes, and I'm gonna literally be traveling on the day of the finale, like on an airplane, and I'm not gonna be able to see it with everybody, and I just know everything's gonna get spoiled before I can see it.
Yeah, you'll have to like turn off your phone and just not read anything for several hours. Well, let's rank The Frighteners on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being it's a perfect movie. What should our scale be? I picture, carvings in somebody's forehead.
Carvings in the forehead that kind of glow.
So it'll be the number that you give it.
Yeah.
So how many carvings in the forehead do you give The Frighteners?
I'm gonna give it a 7 because I like the true crime references. I really liked the climax and the ending. Um, oh, I thought it was cute how she could see ghosts at the end. I like that. I like the little bit of a romance. I like that in my horror. I love Michael J. Fox. There's a lot of reasons to like it. But the first half of the movie, I kind of struggled through a little bit. The humor's not really my sense of humor. And I think it struggled a little bit with its tone.
I think that's all fair. I'm giving it a 9 carved in someone's forehead, glowing, because this movie, it was special to me when it came out at the time, and I feel like it's comfort food, and maybe it's not as good as a 9, but that's the way it made me feel. And bad boy Michael J. Fox, and he's not even really a bad boy, but he's just a little bit bad. I like keep blushing when I talk about it, but I just loved it. I don't know.
That's the kind of bad boy I like, though. I don't actually want somebody who's like evading taxes.
That's like the worst crime you can imagine.
Yeah, that's like anything above that, then they're a monster. No, I like a bad boy who's maybe like, having ghosts go in and mess some stuff up. So I like that. I like that, and he has the like backstory about his wife and he feels bad about it, so it like gives him some edge. I like that, but like I don't need him to like come in on a motorcycle or anything.
I was gonna say he's not like a leader of a motorcycle gang, which is like the worst thing I can imagine. I thought it was funny too when he comes in and like everything had stopped and he's mad because those guys were like lazy because they like got tired lifting up the bed. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that was funny. I also, although I do have to say, I felt sympathy for the asshole husband when Michael J. Fox ran over his yard and he broke his gnome because I have a little owl in my front, and if anybody drove over that, I would be very upset. Although if Michael J. Fox popped out of the car, maybe I'd be okay.
It's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay, so if you haven't rewatched or ever seen The Frighteners, I mean, we've given everything away, but I think you'll still enjoy it. Like, there's a moment with the CGI where like a ghost pops through the wall, and it like peaks, and like I understand we can do that with CGI, but don't you think it's scarier when like they just make a wall like with material that somebody's actually poking through? I think that's scarier than seeing it CGI.
Yeah, I think we're getting, I think like we said, I think we're kind of going back around and figuring this out. I think, we had the technology, we had to try it out, but unfortunately it does like, it kind of keeps your movie, it doesn't really age your movie very well, and just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Well said. Is there anything else you want to talk about in the world of horror or literature or TV that you've watched or listened to or read lately that you recommend?
You're giving me this is the problem. It's so broad. I can't think of who I trust. I can't think of like what I've watched or seen. I just feel like there's so many exciting things coming out. You saw La Liorna? I can't say it.
La Llorona. La Llorona.
Okay, I can't roll my R's. I'm sorry. Um, I can't keep up, but you told me about a movie. Don't give me spoilers, but you told me about this movie, Terrified.
And I mentioned it on that La Llorona episode as well as something to recommend because it's on Shudder. Don't read about it. Don't watch the trailer. Don't let anything give you anything away. You haven't watched it yet.
No, but I want to because you were like, you must.
And as I said on that episode, and I'm going to say it again, it will forever change you. There are some images and moments in that movie that I will never be the same. I rarely jump at a jump scare, but there's some moments, and they're not even like necessarily classic jump scares, when I made an audible noise and jumped out of my freaking seat. I I'm just thinking about it. I feel something. I feel like Jake Busey is squeezing my heart right now, and not in a good way.
Not in a you love him way. Yeah, no, that's how I know, like I was saying when I watched Hereditary, the second time I felt like all this like physical reaction. I'm like that's a good way. I think that people that like horror were seeking that a little bit. We're like seeking that adrenaline rush and the physical reaction. That's how you know that it's good. So I gotta see it. I'm gonna watch it. I promise.
Oh, and yeah, if you don't have Shudder, you should get Shudder because I mean there's movies like that which you can only watch on Shudder. Prevenge is another one that I recommend that you can only see on Shudder, and this documentary Horror Noir, which is amazing. And Ashley Blackwell wrote and produced it, who we interviewed for our upcoming book, The Science of Women in Horror. So check that out. Some great interviews. Jordan Peele is interviewed on there, and I just love having the option now for horror fans that we can just go in and watch all these things that maybe we didn't have access to before.
Yeah, Shudder's amazing. And you mentioned our book, and I'm not gonna drop any names or anything like that, but we've been talking to some really cool people, women, I should say, in horror for our upcoming Women in Horror book, and it's been kind of like a dream, actually.
Yeah, so we can't wait to drop some more announcements and when you pick up pre-order the book, I think you'll some more things will be revealed, which is so exciting. We're really excited about that. So, until next time, Rewinders, we'll see you in the horror section.